Welcome to World Insight. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon for more breaking updates. The South China Sea has always simmered with tension, a region fraught with historical claims and strategic interests. But in September 2025, it erupted into a full-blown crisis that captured global attention. Near Scarborough Shoal, a Philippine Coast Guard vessel on a humanitarian mission was blasted by Chinese water cannons, escalating the already volatile situation. The attack shattered glass, injured a crew member and left the ship damaged, a stark reminder of the power imbalance and the high stakes involved. Manila condemned the act as illegal aggression within its exclusive economic zone, calling for international support and intervention. Meanwhile, Beijing accused the Philippines of provocation, asserting its own claims over the contested waters. Both sides released conflicting footage and statements, each fighting for control of the narrative as much as the territory, further muddying the waters of truth. This was more than a maritime skirmish, it was a battle for legitimacy in the eyes of the world, with each nation seeking to sway international opinion. The clash signaled a shift. The Philippines, feeling cornered and outgunned, was preparing a new response, not with ships, but with maps, aiming to redefine the boundaries. The next confrontation would be fought on paper, not water, as both nations geared up for a cartographic showdown. Cartographers and diplomats, not sailors, would lead the charge, meticulously plotting new lines and strategies. The stage was set for a cartographic war with global implications, as the world watched closely. The South China Sea dispute was about to be redrawn, literally, with new maps that could alter the course of history. In November 2025, the Philippines unveiled a new official map, a bold diplomatic strike. The map clearly marked its 200 nautical mile exclusive economic zone, including areas claimed by China, and renamed these waters the West Philippine Sea. This was more than symbolism. It was a legal assertion, grounded in the 2016 Hague tribunal ruling. By including Scarborough Shoal and parts of the Spratlys, Manila reinforced its claims and challenged Beijing's sweeping 9-dash line. The map became a rallying point for Filipinos and a call for international support. Manila's strategy: use law and public opinion to counter China's military might. The Philippines gambled that a map, backed by law, could be mightier than a fleet. The world was now asked to choose law or force. China's response was swift and uncompromising. In Qingdao, Chinese customs seized 60,000 maps bound for export, citing errors that threatened national unity. The real issue? The maps omitted China's 9-dash line and challenged its territorial claims. Beijing's message was clear: only its version of the map is acceptable, others will be destroyed. This was not an isolated act. China has long seized and burned maps that contradict its claims, enforcing its narrative at home and abroad. For Beijing, controlling the map means controlling the territory. Manila's legal approach met China's coercive enforcement. The cartographic war was now a contest between persuasion and power. The stakes and the risks were rising. The South China Sea conflict is rooted in history and law. China's 9-dash line, first drawn in 1947, claims nearly the entire sea, overlapping the EEZs of Vietnam, Malaysia, Brunei, and the Philippines. Beijing cites ancient usage, its neighbors cite modern law, specifically, the 1982 UN Convention on the Law of the Sea, which grants 200 nautical mile EEZs. Scarborough Shoal, just 124 nautical miles from Luzon, is a flashpoint, claimed by both but controlled by China since 2012. The dispute is about more than fishing rights. It's about sovereignty, national pride, and strategic control. China's island-building campaign has militarized the region, turning reefs into bases. The conflict is now written in concrete, steel, and ink. History, law, and power collide in these contested waters. In 2013, the Philippines made a bold move on the world stage, taking China to court and invoking the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, or UNCLOS. This was a landmark moment, as Manila sought to challenge Beijing's sweeping claims over the South China Sea through peaceful, legal means, rather than military confrontation. The case was closely watched by the international community, with many seeing it as a test of whether international law could stand up to the might of a global power. The Hague Tribunal's 2016 ruling was a sweeping win for Manila. The court declared China's 9-dash line, which claimed nearly the entire South China Sea, to be baseless under international law. It also found China's actions, such as building artificial islands and blocking Filipino fishermen, illegal, setting a powerful legal precedent for the region. The court condemned China's interference with Philippine rights, highlighting the harassment of local fishermen and the destruction of fragile marine environments. The tribunal's findings painted a stark picture of environmental damage and disregard for international agreements. Scarborough Shoal, a flashpoint in the dispute, was ruled to be a rock, not an island, meaning it could not generate an exclusive economic zone for China. This was a direct blow to Beijing's legal arguments and its expansive maritime claims. The verdict was hailed as a victory for international law and the rules-based order. Yet Beijing rejected it outright, dismissing the ruling as a piece of paper and refusing to recognize the court's authority. China ignored the decision, continuing its activities in the disputed waters undeterred. Its coast guard and fishing fleets remained a constant presence, and construction on artificial islands pressed on, defying the tribunal's findings. The world mostly sided with the Philippines, with many countries voicing support for the rule of law. However, a significant number of nations stayed silent, wary of angering Beijing, and risking their own economic or political interests. For Manila, the legal victory was bittersweet. While the ruling was clear, the Philippines lacked the power to enforce it on the water, leaving its fishermen and Coast Guard vulnerable to continued Chinese pressure. The case exposed the limits of international law when faced with raw power. It showed that legal victories, no matter how significant, can be difficult to translate into real-world change without the backing of force or broad international consensus. The gavel had fallen, but the sea remained unchanged. The South China Sea's contested waters continued to be a stage for tension and uncertainty, despite the tribunal's clear decision. The struggle for legitimacy and justice continued, as the Philippines and its allies searched for ways to uphold the rule of law in one of the world's most strategically vital regions. The South China Sea is a global economic artery. Its waters are the lifeblood of international commerce, connecting Asia to the rest of the world. Every year, 1/3 of all maritime trade, valued at over $3 trillion, passes through these lanes. From electronics and oil to food and raw materials, the goods that travel these waters touch nearly every aspect of daily life across continents. Beneath the waves, vast untapped oil and gas reserves lie hidden, resources that are fiercely coveted by every nation with a stake in these waters. The promise of energy independence and economic growth drives competition and tension. For countries like the Philippines and Vietnam, these resources are not just strategic. They are essential for national development, job creation, and energy security. Yet, China's sweeping claims and frequent harassment block their access, fueling resentment and diplomatic standoffs. The South China Sea is also an ecological treasure trove, home to some of the world's richest fisheries and vibrant coral reefs. These waters feed millions, support coastal communities, and sustain a delicate balance of marine life. But China's massive island-building campaigns have devastated fragile reefs, destroying habitats and threatening fish stocks. The loss of these ecosystems puts regional food security at risk and undermines livelihoods. Overfishing, driven by competition and desperation, has pushed fish populations to the brink. Constant naval patrols and confrontations have turned the sea into a battleground, where the tragedy of the commons plays out daily. The environment is a silent casualty of this geopolitical struggle. Pollution, coral bleaching, and habitat destruction are accelerating, with little regard for the long-term consequences. The fight for sovereignty and control is destroying the very resources that make the South China Sea so valuable in the first place. The region's future hangs in the balance. The stakes are not just economic or environmental, they are existential, shaping the destiny of nations, communities, and ecosystems for generations to come. As 2025 ends, the South China Sea teeters between hope and danger. The Philippines map and the 2016 ruling are calls for diplomacy and law, but China's assertive actions show no sign of compromise. Each standoff risks accidental escalation. One misstep could draw on the US and ignite a wider conflict. ASEAN's slow-moving code of conduct talks offer a glimmer of hope for peaceful management. A binding agreement could build trust and prevent incidents, but success is uncertain. The region faces a choice: rule of law or rule of force. The world watches, hoping for cooperation over confrontation. The future of the South China Sea and global order hangs in the balance.